just dropped Lee off at the front door. Oh my God.
So on Monday morning, April 7th, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was awake and I was watching the news, and they were discussing the Oscar Pistorius trial, still in the middle of it. And I noticed about that time that I started feeling contractions. I went in, I woke Beto up, and it was about 3:20, 3:30 in the morning, and he woke up right away, and he went and got his phone to start timing the contractions because he had a handy little app.
Sofia, this is the beginning of your life. Your mom is currently going through labor pains, and we're waiting till she gets far enough along so we can go to the hospital. We're timing contractions right now. There you are, and soon you will be out.
He was very affectionate, and he got right down to business. He started getting my hospital bag packed for me, and we had to decide what we're going to do with Zuko because we couldn't leave Zuko in the house. So Beto took Zuko to boarding, and he left and was back within about 15 minutes. So that was one less thing to worry about. That was nice that we got him taken care of. About 7:30, 8 o'clock, we called the nurse line, kind of like the nurse hotline, and I described to the midwife that I spoke with what I was feeling, and I let her know about the timing of the contraction, and she said the best option would be to come into the doctor's office and they can examine me there and see about how far along I was. We went to the doctor's office, and it was a little bit after 8:15, 8:30 in the morning, and the contractions were about 5 to 6 minutes apart at that time. When I was examined at the office, I was measuring, or it was dilated to a 3 at that time, and they said for me to go ahead, head back home and to rest, and that I would probably be in that evening for the delivery. So we came back from the doctor's office, and I was trying to relax on the couch as much as I could. So at that point, I was still feeling the contractions pretty regularly. They were getting a little stronger. When the contractions came on, it would feel equivalent to like a really painful cramp, like a period cramp. around sometime between maybe 12 and 1 p.m. They were occurring more frequently and becoming increasingly painful. So we decided that it might be time to head back to the hospital.
And Lee is going through a contraction right now. And they sent us home because she wasn't dilated enough. But she's been having contractions about 3 to 4 minutes apart, so we may be leaving here very soon. 1:08 in the afternoon. Alright, it's go time. Got your purse right here. Come on, baby, you can do this. Okay, I just dropped Lee off at the front door. I'm walking in after her. She's in pretty heavy labor now, so we're kind of rushing along.
By the time that we drove down to the hospital and we were at the counter, I was feeling the most pain I'd felt so far that day. And I was hoping that they would get me checked in really quickly. And I don't know why they call it the emergency room, because it's always seems like the people behind the desk there's no hustle in their steps at all. There wasn't anyone at the counter directly in front of me. There was someone behind the desk, but they didn't acknowledge me right away. I was looking forward to having some relief from the pain. So they did send somebody down with a wheelchair. So I sat down in the wheelchair and they brought me up to triage. So the person wheeling me was asking me questions, I think like name, birth date, why I was there, that type of thing, probably to see if I was coherent. Once I arrived at the triage, I was taken into a room where there was just a couple of curtains separating the beds. The pain was increasing a lot. I went into the bathroom and I changed out of my clothes into a gown, and then I got on the bed in the triage unit and I waited for the nurse to come, and she was going to examine me and let me know my status. The nurse came in and examined me, and she said that I had dilated to a 6. At that point, it was the pain was really intense, to the point where you are kind of curling yourself into that fetal position. So you kind of automatically you want to seek comfort. So you're kind of writhing around in pain, but you're also kind of scrunching yourself up so that you can try to mitigate the pain a little bit. So the nurse and Beso were both reminding me, don't hold your breath, you want to breathe through it. So I was trying to do that as best I could, but again, real painful, and I was really desperate for some relief. So at some point in those 13 minutes, there seemed to be a commotion of nurses coming in. There was maybe like 4 nurses that appeared up under the curtain to take care of me, and what I later found out was I had dilated from a 6 to a 9.5 in those 13 minutes. And when you dilate that quickly, it can put a little stress on the baby, and the nurses saw something on the monitor that kind of alarmed them. I remember one of the nurses saying to me, looks like you're gonna have your baby right now. And I thought, I can't have her right now because I haven't gotten my epidural yet. And I thought, I can't do this now. I need the epidural because the pain was too much to try to push through, or to have to push with that much pain was going to be way too much. And I thought, so whatever had alarmed everyone, I think, had subsided. So they probably saw something on the monitor that had to do with the heart rate, or being concerned with the heart rate. So I opted to have the epidural, and they called the anesthesiologist down to administer the epidural. The anesthesiologist came with the needles, and the first one was the small needle. The small needle that numbs the area. She started with that, and it was not a big deal at all, especially compared to the pain of the contractions. And then she administers the larger needle for the epidural. And while she had the larger needle in my back, I was instructed to not move at all while she had the needle in my back. And that was really hard to do because I was having a major contraction right at the moment where she had the needle in my back. I was able to hold still to breathe through that last really bad contraction. And then when the epidural took effect, I felt it in my legs first. I could feel, you have sort of this warm, tingly sensation that you feel in your legs. And that's how it started. And then pretty soon, it seemed like only within a matter of a minute or two, the pain was gone. You didn't feel any of that cramping discomfort anymore. So it's like it just magically melted away.
Lee, how are you feeling?
I think I got through the worst of it.
And now you have your epidural.
Now I have an epidural, and I'm feeling like jelly.
Oh, good. So you've already gone through some contractions, and it sounds like you're not feeling anything?
Right, no pain.
All right. Sophia, this is what you're putting your mother through. All right. We're in good shape.
It just became a waiting game after that. We were just waiting for her to be delivered.
This is what we're doing while we're waiting for Sofia to come. Watching the championship game of the NCAA basketball tournament.
So 3 hours went by, and I was still waiting. At that point, I had mentioned to one of the other nurses in the room with me that we should call the midwife back in and just have her break the water, because otherwise we're just going to be waiting all night. And I thought we could kind of expedite things by having her come in and break the water. So that's what happened.
And here's my wife. She has to have some oxygen because she just had her water ruptured intentionally by the staff, so we can get the show on the road, and the baby needs a little extra oxygen.
So at about 7:15 in the evening, the midwife had given me instructions to start pushing. I felt a little bit nervous at that point because I didn't know how efficiently I could push. With the epidural, I could feel someone touching the outside of my legs. I could feel the pressure of people with where their hands were. But because you're numb, it's a little bit hard to gauge how well you can push. I got really excited at the very end because Beto could see the top of her head, and I could hear the excitement in his voice. And I asked him to tell me what color her hair was, and he said that I would have to push her out before he would tell me. I pushed and pushed, and then the very last contraction that my body had, I couldn't feel the contraction, but I could feel the pressure of her sliding out, and that's exactly what it was. It was just a slight push from me, and I could feel her head and her body slide right out, and she was out.
Isn't she lovely? Isn't she wonderful? Isn't she precious? She's less than 1 minute old. I never thought the love we'd be.
This is just right after. How long has she been out? 60 seconds?
25.
A minute 25.
Oh.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
These little straps so that she don't have to. Just a I have made it. There we go. No, we didn't. Okay, no.
Isn't she lovely?
Do you know that we made you a fabulous nursery with lots of stuffed animals that he can't sleep with yet?
Less than 1 minute old. I never thought the love we'd be making one as silly as she. Isn't she lovely? Make love.
Looks like she's tired of the ordeal. So what the
Swimming in her bubble all day. Swimming in her bag.
They picked her up and they put her on my chest, and that part was really emotional, and it just felt like a dream. It just felt surreal because I thought she was finally here after all these months of waiting, all the months of feeling sick and feeling her kicking. I actually get to see this real person that comes out, and there she was. So it was really a great feeling. I did get tears in my eyes, and it was great to share that with Beto.
Are you tired, Rita?
Actually, I'm okay. I tried to get all caught up on rest prior to her.
Who do you have?
This is Sofia Valentina Niebla.
What a fabulous name.
Oh, you like her bow?
I do.
Oh, look at her. She got a little stork bite on her eyelid.
La manita ya las tiene blancas, la cara nomás. ¿Qué pasó, mamacita?
So this is my daughter, Sofia. She's 11 days old today. And I feel like being a mother comes naturally to me. I'm really happy for my family and the experiences that we get to share together. I look forward to creating the memories. Oh.
Sophia, I know you're tired. Sleep safely, girl, in your mother's arms. Sophia, you can rest assured, yes you can. Our love is endless and our love is pure. When the days get hard and harder, dear, your father will be near. Sophia, there's nothing to fear. And when you're grown out on your own, your father will be here. Sophia, there's nothing to fear. Come on now, oh Sophia, I know you're tired. Sleep safely, girl, in your mother's arms. Sophia, you can rest assured, yes you can. Our love is endless and our love is pure.